Welcome to a special edition of Cattle Chatter. I'm Susan Littlefield with the American Ag Network. Double reports, data dump, whatever you want to call it. Our cattle producers closely watching what all the numbers had to say. Brad Koima is joining us, of course, with Koima and Varlick out of Sioux Center, Iowa. And a busy place in your office today. Let's kick it off, Brad, with the Cattle on Feed report. You said placements were on the friendly side.
They were for sure. Thanks for having me on. A little different day, right? I've got more pieces of paper in front of me. I'm going to try to appear like I know what I'm talking about, and that's not always easy. But let's start with your question there. There's two reports today: a cattle and feed report, and see, the on feed number came in at 98. The guess was 99. The placement number came in at 92. And the guess there was 98. I think you and I talked about this yesterday. I wondered a little bit about, whether that number looked like it could have been beatable because of the fact that, Texas is still expecting and got extremely low placements again, down almost 20%, which I think this makes it the 8th or 9th month in a row of record low placements. And that's because of the borders closed, because of the screw arm issue, of course. So marketing number pretty much on the guess, 96. The guess was 96.2. So the placement number is friendly. And I suppose we'll get a reaction on that, I would think, on maybe some of the back months here on Monday when things, unless something else changes between now and then. The one thing I wanted to highlight, though, about the placement number, those of us that are take a little more granular deep dive look at it, of the cattle that were placed in the month of June, 95% of those cattle and calves were heifers. 101% of them were steers. You say, what does that mean? Well, that's the lowest percentage of heifers getting placed in a while. So if they're not going into a feedlot, they're being held for retention, right? So now is this oh my goodness, everything's going to change now? No, it's not that kind of number. But again, it's another subtle move toward, that I think that we're seeing some retention of heifers, but that's kind of what I saw on the on-feed numbers.
It is kind of nice, though, to see that, because you and I have been having that conversation for a couple months now. So maybe we'll start to see those numbers continue to increase as those reports come out.
Correct.
Well, we had a inventory report, the one that we didn't get last year, and as you and I talked yesterday, this is something that we're having to compare to 2 year ago data. So down 1% overall is what I'm understanding. But what is your takeaway of the July inventory report?
Okay, there are a lot of numbers on this report. I think that the comment of the percentage of heifers on feed that we just made, that's really that really is the question here, isn't it? I mean, at least one of the main questions. And my two questions for myself, I'm thinking about analysis is: are we killing the available supply? And where are we at in the cattle cycle? Are we starting to retain some heifers, or are we not? So a lot of numbers on this report. And again, frustration, of course, that we didn't have last year's numbers. So this percentage numbers that you're going to hear on the radio are as of 2 years ago. A lot of things have changed since July of 2023. But having said that, I'm going to go through some of the numbers, and I'm going to try to look at maybe one or two of them a little more carefully, especially the calf number. So yeah, all cattle and calves on feed, the guess was 99. Or excuse me, the number was 99% of 2 years ago. The guess was 98.1, a little bit bigger than they thought. Beef cows, the guess was 97.8. They come in at 99, again, compared to 2 years ago. Now, the heifer replacements, 97% was the guess, 97 is what we came in at. So that's right on a moving target, like we just talked about in my last little, diatribe here. Then let's skip through some of this: steers over 5 and bulls over 5, and some of those numbers I don't really care about. And let's go to the calf crop. I mean, that's really where it all starts, is it not? So I did a little bit of work with. I apologize. I'm moving papers around, and I may be making it. So if we had a guess on the calf crop on the January report, and if you took this guess of what we supposedly the guess was as compared to 2 years ago, I had come up with a calf crop of this actual numbers now, 32,892 calves. So this report says that it's 33,100,000. 33.1 versus 32,892. Is that significant? Probably not. It's a little bigger than we thought, though. Okay, or than they thought, or whoever they are. So, the other thing I would say, so the calf crop's a little bit bigger. The all cattle number is a little bit bigger than expected. But again, before anybody gets too freaked out, usually these traders trade more of the cattle on feed report. It's just long-term analysts, number crunchers like us that really look at these numbers and kind of try to shape what you think that means. Maybe in a longer view of the thing. The one thing I would add is, Susan, you have typically the inventory report is about revisions. The USDA will admit mistakes, and you'll go like, well, a lot of good that does us now. Now you're going to tell us that, oh yeah, actually there wasn't that many cows, right? But I would say this: there is almost none, and the little bit that are, I believe, in the 15 minutes I've had a chance to look at it anyway, there's no significant revisions to the number. So it's not like we're saying it's 99% of a number that should have been much, much lower. So then the 99 is lower. So it looks to me like no significant revisions. My takeaway would be that in the short term, we're going to get a decent reaction out of the bullish placement number, lower than expected placement number, but maybe a little more of a, it looks like maybe we've got a few more Kievs to pick from. And we'll see if we can, drill down a little more carefully on what that means for heifer retention here as we go. So,
and you guys get the weekend to kind of digest through all of this and see how the market reacts come Monday.
Yeah, you're on your own next week. I'm going to go on vacation, and usually when I'm gone, there's fireworks. So hopefully I can just keep my phone in my pocket. The cash market today was a little disappointing. I thought, 240 to 242 steady-ish in the north, which there's nothing wrong with that price. But I think based on expectations at the beginning of the week, that might be a little bit of disappointment around. But nonetheless, lots of numbers. I apologize. I can't do a little deeper dive on you. I didn't see anything real crazy about the weight breakdowns or the state-by-state stuff, other than Texas continues to struggle to find cattle to place because of the border closing, which one would expect. So I wish you the best for the next week. It's a great market. Use your head, everybody.
Good advice. I guess if we could walk away with one thought as you quickly digested those numbers, what would you say was your biggest takeaway from that inventory report?
The fact that the way this placement thing is going, and the way there doesn't seem to be any quick resolution here to this issue with the border being closed, we still got leverage, and we got leverage because we're current in the north where we negotiate. Market feels like it's going to be pretty okay here yet for the next 4 to 6 weeks, to me at least. And then we're going to, you and I will be talking more and more about are we killing enough cattle? That might be an September, October problem, but that'll be something that we're going to be trying to work on. Everything looks like it's okay now. We're going to have a few more cattle to pick from down the road, but we got to keep this industry going too. So.
All right, Brad, lots of stuff to look at. As always, though, best way if somebody wants to talk to you more about this report, how do they get a hold of you?
Well, I much prefer a phone call. You can hit us up on kkvtrading.com. Find out a little bit more about everybody that's here. But 712-722-0023. We got 4 brokers here. We all have stuff on our boots. So we'll be happy to talk cattle or anything else with you.
All right. Thanks so much. Brad Koima joining this week for a special edition of Cattle Chatter.
The views and opinions of this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. There is substantial risk of loss in trading futures and options, which you should carefully consider prior to trading.